Welcome to the Zone Coverage Football Show, your pre-game build-up to Pigskin Sundays. Catch the show live on the TuneIn and Speaker apps, or listen back in its podcast form via iTunes and Stitcher. Here's your host, live from Tees Towers, Mark Tees.
The show is now sponsored by DynastySportsEmpire.com, your number one resource for all your Dynasty sports needs. Whether it's MMA, baseball, basketball, NHL, DynastySportsEmpire.com has you covered. So head over to DynastySportsEmpire.com and sign up today. Afternoon. We have a busy show today. We'll be running through the AFC best and worst units following up from last week's show. Seahawks dishing out dollars for fun, so it'll be very interesting to get your take on that. The phone lines are going to be open. The number is 07 444 048 266. The lines will be open right after this. There we have it. Welcome along to the Zone Coverage Football Show, episode 47, Sunday the 2nd of August 2015. The show is exactly 1 year old today. It was a year today that I did the first ever show, and please don't go back and listen to that. It was absolutely horrendous. I was a nervous wreck. Come on air with this big long script. It was a bit of a car crash, but 47 episodes later, it's pretty much the same, yes. Anyway, that aside, show is one, so that's fantastic. Thank you for everyone that is tuning in live. Hopefully you're doing that via the TuneIn app and the Spreaker app. Again, just got TuneIn. Search your Zone Coverage Football Show, listen. And with the Spreaker app, that comes with a chat room. So if you want to get in the chat room via Spreaker, just head over to Spreaker.com. You've got a Facebook, Twitter account, sign up. It's all free. Search Zone Coverage Football Show. You'll see the chat room icon. Just click on that. Come in, have some chat. Chat room's empty at the moment because I would imagine that you are all slying off to watch the Charity Shield, which I will be keeping tabs on this now that soccer or the regular footy is back. I'll see you sneaking off. I will be having words. So failing that, if you want to listen back via iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube channel as well, do feel free to do so. And again, I did put out a call last week for rankings and ratings on iTunes. We did get another rating, so do really appreciate that. So if you could do that, thank you very much. If you want to connect with the show via social media, you can do so by the ways of Facebook, facebook.com/zonecoveragefootballshow.com. If you want to tweet into the show, taking tweets as we go through today's show, that is at Zone Coverage FS on Twitter. If you want to have a rant, something like that, you can actually email the show. We do have the email address, that is zonecoveragefootballshow@mail.com. I do believe that is every single possible way you can connect with the show covered. Right then, what do we have coming up on today's show? There is an abundance of news. It's not as tragic as last week's news, where pretty much every man and the dog got arrested, which was just beyond belief. In all fairness, we do have my Jets Sheldon Richardson, who is becoming a complete moron. It's going to be the best way I'm going to put things. So, we're going to go through the news. I'm going to talk about, we're going to go through the AFC best and worst units. Last week's show was quite well received, the best and worst of the NFC unit. So if you didn't check that out, we don't know what that was about, do feel free to go back and check that one out. It was a good show, some really good feedback in. Basically, I just went through the entire sort of AFC this week, looking at the best of worst units. I totally discounted quarterbacks for the sole reason that I thought, well, if you've got a good quarterback, it's going to be the best of. If you've got a bad one, going to be the worst of. It was going to be easy, so I did a little bit more research into things along those lines. So that's going to be coming up later. Like I said, we're going to go through the news, going to be putting out a call for the fan versus fan as well. We have a few. We actually have a message. You'll notice I've been tweeting this out via Zone Coverage FS, where we've got a voicemail system. So if you're angry about something's not going down too well, there's Tom Brady nonsense, there's the Seahawks where they're spending all the money, what's going to happen there eventually? Is that going to come to some awkward situation down the line? So if you want to leave us a voicemail, you can do so. So if you just head to the site, zonecoveragefootballshow.com, you'll see the little tab on the side of the site there. Record away. So Martin did do that, so I do appreciate that, Martin. And which leads me to the perfect segue. Martin and the gang over at Dundee NFL on Twitter, the Fourth Down and Out podcast, made a triumphant return this past week, so it was a pleasure to have those guys back. They've got like a new sort of role now. Martin sort of stepped away from like the main sort of thing, but he's like the producer, so he jumps in and keeps Russell and Simon under tabs there. So do go check that out, Dundee NFL, and the guys will be returning to do the fantasy stuff as we head in towards the season, as will Tom from Huddle Magazine in regards to the last minute news. We are 4 weeks away now from actual live pigskin. No, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks, but next week we do have the Hall of Fame game, so then pre-season. So it is there now. The smell of pigskin in the air. Training camps are open. There's been a few injuries which have been unfortunate, so I'm going to try to cover the vast majority of that. While I am doing a bit of promotion, you do know that the show is associated, sponsored by the Dynasty Sports Empire.com network. A couple of good podcasts that I do recommend you go and check out. One is the at UDFA podcast, the Undrafted Free Agents podcast. Good podcast there, guys are just running through the divisions, giving their take on that. Really good show, highly recommend that. And also as at War Room TJ, a bit of a fantasy expert there. TJ's had a couple of good guests on this past week as well, so that's of interest. We are trying to nail down a time where me and him are going to put together a little bit of a show as well, so that should be good fun, so do go check those out. Right then, that is everything covered. That is a 7-minute opening rambling nonsense. Before I do disappear, I told you last week I was going to go watch the film Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal. I highly recommend that. Excellent film. If you're bored, you want to get some last minute brownie points, take the wife to the cinema, the missus, partner, whatever, go to cinema. Recommend that. Excellent film. Right then, let's get into some. Before we get into the news, the phone lines are going to be open, so if you want to call in, feel free to do so. Call and text the show on 07444 048 266. Again, I said this last week, if you're worrying about the price of the calls, that is a phone number on one of the big networks. If you've got inclusive minutes, inclusive text, that's not going to cost you anything. It's just going to come out of your allowance. However, if you are ringing from overseas, that's a whole different ball game. And I recommend if you want to ring from overseas outside the UK, please use Skype, and it's Teece Mister, TEECE Mister on Skype. And again, the number 07444 048 266. If you want to call in, lines are open. If you want to text in, you're a little shy, feel free to do so. So right, let's get into the news. NFL news. Alrighty then, let's start it off going back pretty much a whole week now. The Minnesota Vikings, they awarded kicker Blair Walsh for his outstanding play over the course of the last few years. He has received a 4-year extension. That is worth around about $14 million. He's going to get $5.2 million in guarantees. The NFL have put in sort of a procedure to stop at the next Deflategate. Each team now will be required to supply 24 balls to the officials' locker room, 12 primary balls, 12 backup. 2 hours 15 minutes prior to the game. Last season, I think they had 24 hours to submit the balls. The visitors had to submit 12. The referee will designate now 2 members of his team to conduct a pre-game inspection to make sure the footballs meet the required specifications. Last year, it was just the referee. He was a sole judge. The official will number the balls 1 to 12. Last year, the balls were not numbered. The officials will measure the PSI and record all that. Last year, no such record, and so on and so on. So they're putting measures in place to prevent this from scaling way, way, way out of control. And we shall move on. It's good to know that they're finally addressing it. Why something like that was never done sort of begs the question, really. You'd think they'd have every base covered, but hey-ho, it's the NFL. No one's perfect. Moving on then, the Indianapolis Colts, they moved on from Gosta Cherelis. The team announced Sunday that it released the right tackle. He'd struggled with injuries, a bit lacking in consistency over the last couple of years. He was the highest paid right tackle in football when they signed him 2 years ago. As a former first round pick, they signed him to a $34.5 million contract in 2013. Started... I've lost where I am with my notes. Yeah, so big contract. They've decided to move on. Play wasn't good enough. There we go. The Carolina Panthers offensive tackle Jonathan Martin, he's opted to retire. This comes on off the back of reports that he's struggling with a back injury. So I think he's about 25, 26 as Jonathan Martin. So he's now stepping away from football. OCU Umoe, he's called it quits on an 11-year career. He signed a one-day contract with the Giants. He spent last couple of years with the Atlanta Falcons. So he's going back to the Giants, signing off there. He spent 9 years with the Giants, joined the club in 2003, 129 games, making 89 starts, and he recorded 75 sacks. The Arizona Cardinals, some good news this week. There was some good news amongst all the usual stuff with deflated footballs. The Arizona Cardinals, they made history this past week, and they hired what's believed to be the NFL's first female coach, Jen Welter, a former running back for the Indoor Football League's Texas Revolution. She will work with the Cardinals inside linebackers through training camp and into the preseason as one of the team's several coaching interns. She's years of experience playing football, several different levels. She's 37 years old. She has a master's degree in sports psychology and a doctorate in psychology. So congratulations to Jen Welter. This issue, for me, was totally overshadowed by all the nonsense that went on in regards to the Brady suspension. So massive kudos, to the Arizona Cardinals and all the staff there for sort of taking this sort of leap of faith. Really, I can't praise him enough. And Jen Walters seems to have very, very good credentials, and I wish her all the best going forward. And fingers crossed this becomes more of a permanent role. What else do we have? Yeah, talking of suspensions, let's get this out of the way. Hey, Steelers, Le'Veon Bell, his suspension got dropped from 3 to 2 games. He didn't even appeal that, but it got reduced anyway by a game. And as we all know by now, the commissioners upheld Tom Brady's suspension. He will serve 4 games. There's a lot of sort of drama going on there, back and forth, where the NFLPA now is going to court and so on and so on. We all thought it'd be the last of it. Turns out it's not. So next week we'll have more Deflategate news. The week after we'll have more Deflate. It's just going to go on and on forever and ever. And someone shoot me now, because I am absolutely sick to death of hearing about it. Let's just check in on the chat room. Oh, Terry's in there. Good afternoon, Terry. Said it's busy today. I told you, I said top of the show, Terry, everyone sneaked off to watch the football now. It's disgraceful. I'll be having words. I'll be marking down who's absent in the chat room. And I will be sending individual tweets later on, seeing where everyone was. But let's get back to the news. Where were we? Yes, some good news ahead of training camp starting this past week. Rams Todd Gurley, he passed his conditioning test with flying colours and will start camp. The Redskins signed linebacker Ryan Kerrigan to a 5-year, $57 million contract. That included a $16 million signing bonus. On then to, where do we have now? Oh, I can't even find my news. Yeah, veteran linebacker Keith Rivers, he's retiring. He was a former first-round pick by the Bengals, 2008. Is that right? Yeah, picked by the Bengals, yeah. Veteran linebacker signed with Dallas this off-season, retiring after 7 seasons split amongst the Bengals, the Giants, the Bills. So that is that. I mentioned earlier on that Sheldon Richardson has been displaying what can be only described as absolute moronic behaviour, and the defensive tackle, his latest one, this comes like 2 weeks after he was suspended for substances of abuse. There's plenty of pictures of him online, clearly been smoking marijuana. This latest incident is a bizarre one. He was charged with resisting arrest as well as endangering the welfare of a child in O'Fallon, Missouri. The 24-year-old Pro Bowler was clocked at speeds of around about 143 miles per hour. This stemmed from the 14th of July, and according to a statement obtained by the NFL media, charges were made official on Thursday, and all this madness that was going on. Apparently, he's been doing some form of like really odd drag racing and stuff, and then like he's turned his lights off and tried to hide in someone's drive. The police have found him. There's a strong smell of marijuana. They found a gun under his seat, and the icing on the cake, 12-year-old in the backseat of the car. What are you doing, Sheldon Richardson? I am lost for words. I really am. I just don't know what to say. One hell of a talented player, but he is throwing his career down the pan fast, and he's falling out of favour with me hugely. That sort of behaviour is not wanted. So Sheldon Richardson, good luck with whatever you decide to do post football, because you're going the right way about it. Will he get a 10-game suspension now? I suppose this is the next one on the cards. It's just throwing a career down the drain. It's not a very good job. Moving on, some better news. Well, good news. If you're a Seahawks fan, not for the rest of the league, I won't imagine. Russell Wilson, he got paid. He said to the Seahawks, look, deadline. I want a deadline. Before camp, if you haven't got a deal, I don't want to talk about it. So they come to an agreement, and it is a 4-year extension that will keep the quarterback with the team through 2019. It's worth $87.6 million. He gets a $31 million signing bonus, and approximately around about $60 million guaranteed. He will get an average salary of $21.9 million a season. I want your thoughts on this. Russell Wilson, did he get overpaid, or was he paid to what the market is today? I think it puts him in second behind Aaron Rodgers now at $22 million a year. So if you want to just contact the show on that. Russell Wilson, overpaid, underpaid, right move, wrong move, 07440482266, or on Twitter at Zone Coverage FS. It is very, very, very quiet today. Oh, Martin's in the chat room. Good afternoon, Martin. Hope you're well, buddy. I give you a good plug at the top of the show, sir, so you're going to have to go back and listen to that. Just going to check in on Twitter. Usually Will Davis is usually like the first one to tweet out the show. Robert's give his absence in. Said he can't listen today, but he will catch up the show during his flight home on Wednesday. So Robert is excused from the chat room today. Who else was it now that met? John Cartwright actually got in touch and said he wasn't going to be available today. So there's a few of you guys listening back later on. Well, let's get back to the news. Where were we now? Just mentioned that Russell Wilson signed his $87.6 million contract. Cameron at C4MIN, he did actually tweet into me. I do believe, when was this? Friday or Saturday, so he's very, very happy. Washington Redskins cornerback Bashard Braylon, he's been suspended for 1 game by the NFL for violating the league's substance abuse policy. This came down on Friday during the regular news dump. The Washington Redskins have signed the much-troubled Junior Galette on a 1-year veteran minimum deal. Make what you want of that. I mentioned last week, Robert actually sent me a couple of tweets via DM saying that there's some obscure tweets going on, and it did turn out that Junior Galette was using his girlfriend or partner's Twitter account, and it was just going absolutely wild on the Saints. It's some of the stuff just unbelievable. Just search that, Google search that. It's unbelievable. It just blows the mind, and why the Redskins have taken a chance on him, I don't know. I know obviously it's only a 1-year deal, but you'd think the current climate today, that is a bold move by them. We'll see how that pans out. Can it get any worse? No idea. I really don't know. So a good story this week. Levant Taylor, he is an undrafted free agent running back out of Central Missouri. And do you know what he did? He tweeted YouTube highlights to the Chiefs, and he's like, look, look, check me out. I'm undrafted. Here's a video of me on YouTube. He's only gone and got signed. How cool is that? There is finally some good news and some good thing, a good use of Twitter. Unlike Junior Galletti was using Twitter the wrong ways. My main man, Levance Taylor, was using Twitter the right way. He got himself a gig. So all the best, Levance Taylor. That is a cool way to get signed. I like what you've done there. Breaking news, and not real breaking news, but this happened late yesterday. Seattle Seahawks, they have locked up linebacker Bobby Wagner. The club, the All-Pro linebacker, has agreed a mammoth 4-year, $43 million contract extension, $22 million in guaranteed money. So what's going to happen with Cam Chancellor? I do believe he is holding out as we speak. So Seahawks are paying everyone, it seems. There was a trade. There was a trade last night with Brandon Boykin. He is moving from Philadelphia to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is for a conditional 5th-round pick in the 2016 draft. The club's announced late Saturday. The pick could become a 4th rounder depending on playing time. So, a little bit went down last night, much to my surprise. I did start to do a camp sort of update, and it just got out of hand. Quite a lot of people ended up on the pup list, and there's so many different lists ahead of camp. But what I did do is I've sort of written down, if you like, what is the active pup list? What is the pup list? Right then, here we go. Explanation time. A player who, as a result of football-related injuries, is unable to take part in training camp practices may be assigned to the pre-season pup list. Players can be moved off the pup list to the active roster at any time, even after one practice. So that's your pup list for you. The active pup list, or the pre-season pup list, allows players who are unable to start training camp the ability to sit out until the medical staff provides clearance. Once they've been medically cleared, they're allowed to practice immediately. We've got the reserve pup list. It goes on and on and on. The active pup list, it's just crazy. There's so many sodding lists. I don't know if I'm coming or going. Well, they're your main two going into camp, and there's quite a lot of people that ended up on those. Darren McFadden was one. Rolando McClain. Dolphins wide receiver Devontae Parker, safety Don Jones, tight end Jermaine Gresham, who was only signed the other week, the Bears Kevin White, Jets running back Stephen Ridley, guard Willie Colon, Kevin Dickerson, and then rookie Devin Smith broke some ribs in practice, Pats wide receiver Brandon LaFell, Dominic Easley, Raiders with C.O. Moore, Jags Senderick Marks, running back Storm Johnson, we have Bengals Vontez Burflet, defensive end Marcus Hunt, linebacker Sean Porter, Cedric Aboué, and then on Thursday the Bengals had wide receiver Santonio Holmes, David Nelson and Greg Little worked out for the team. And that was all I got to. So I'm not sure what's happened of late. The list is endless on who's on a pup list, who's not on a pup list. The best thing I can recommend is check with the local beat writers. They are all over this. Lazy my end, I know, but hey ho. Right then, let's go to the chat room. Noel's in the chat room as well. So there's a couple of guys in there of late. And Martin has just replied to me saying that I plugged him. Yeah, we did plug you, Martin, saying that you are now the producer over at the Fourth Down and Out, and you're keeping Simon and Martin in check. And I sent you guys a message, enjoyed the show. Good to have you back, and looking forward to having you back on the fantasy news as we go forward into the season. Right then, checking in again on Twitter. It is very, very, very quiet today, folks. So, The phone lines are open if you want to ring in. Text 07440482266. I'm going to go, let's jump into the what we did last week. Yeah, going to go the best of and worst of. We're going to go through the AFC East. We're going to start off with first. Again, if you missed out on this feature last week, for me, I found it of great interest. I learned a little bit more about each team as well. We're totally discounting quarterbacks. As I said at the top of the show, it's easy, isn't it? Quarterback's the best. Jot him down. Why is he good? Blah, blah. A few stats. Same if he's not so good. So we totally discard them. So we're looking at the pass catchers, your wide receivers, tight end, running backs, linebackers, O-line, D-line, and secondary. And I'm going to kick it off with my good old Jets. So here we go with the AFC East. The Jets, the best of. this one pretty obvious in fairness, is the D-line, and that's even if you minus the idiot that is Sheldon Richardson. Last year, the team was ranked 5th in rush defense, mainly due to the fact of Damon Harris, the nose tackle, a.k.a. Snacks. Most of the praise actually goes towards Wilkinson and that idiot Sheldon Richardson, but for me, Damon Harris, he remains one of the most undervalued nose tackles in today's NFL game. The unit's got even better this off-season after Leonard Williams was drafted. In the mix as well, depth-wise, we've got Elijah Douzable, TJ Barnes and Kevin Vigorson. Jets line looks set to dominate once again in 2015. So for me, best of. You could have gone, let's jump to the phone call. Hello, Martin. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Mr. Teese. How are you, sir?
I am very well, sir. How are you?
I'm not too bad, actually. I just figured I'd jump on and maybe drop a wee topic with you before you got started properly with that.
All right, cool, yeah.
Hope I didn't interrupt it too bad. I know there's a bit of a delay on Spreaker, so I hope you went in full swing.
I just got to the end of the Jets, so the best of. So to be fair, you couldn't have timed that any better.
Well, there's a first. No, I'm just finishing a book which I know I got you hooked up to as well. Now I need to remember what it's called.
Collision Low Crosses.
That's right. Following the Jets through, I think, possibly the last season of Mark Pettin's time with them. It's a fantastic read, but here's the thing. I'm looking for people to tell me about other books surrounding the NFL or American football, which I can move on to after I finish this book, because it's hard work, but it's something we can get through Amazon and what have you. So I'm just looking to find out what people would recommend as a good NFL or American football book.
Right, it depends. Do you want like biographies, insight on teams, or like the X's and O's? Because I've got quite a few in front of me I could recommend.
All of them, all of the above.
Right,
I've read a few. Friday Night Lights, for example, I'm a big fan of that. The Draft is another one that I've read. So I've got a few of them. So impress me here, Mr. Teese.
Okay, then you want to search for an author called Chris B. Brown. He does the Essential Smart Football Guide. That's excellent. And this month he had a new book come out called The Art of Smart Football, and I actually finished reading that on Friday just gone. Excellent book. Highly recommend that. And that's all like your X's and O's, how systems come about, and gives a lot of insight, bit of history into the game and stuff as well. Another one is Coaching Confidential. That's again a sort of an insight into some of the coaches. What else have I got around here now? Interesting one. I had Brett Favre one actually when he came to the Jets. That was funny. No Substitute for Sundays. That's quite an interesting one.
What's the Brett Favre one called?
No Substitute for Sundays.
Ah, right. Got you. Now I'm going to look that one up because that was an interesting time in Jets history, wasn't it?
Another really good read. I'm just looking now. LT, Lawrence Taylor, Over the Edge. That's a very good book.
Now he's someone who's had an interesting time of it,
yes,
shall we say?
The opening paragraph of that I was reading, it was like, wow, this doesn't sound like an NFL player. I think it starts out he's in his car trying to buy some narcotics or something. It's like, wow, didn't expect that.
He's going to bear it all then.
Yeah, so that one I can recommend. The rest of them, I'd have to sort of dig out and I'll send you a list. But yeah, we'll definitely put this out to people. So any sort of books or covering anything NFL, basically, we'll get them over to you, Martin.
Yeah, and not necessarily NFL either. I wouldn't mind not hearing about the college game, etc. I've followed the tailgate rises, of course. Was it he calls himself the tailgate night?
Oh, tailgate night. Yeah, I've got them. Another good one. Romo about Bill Romanski. He actually played for the Raiders. I think he was at the 49ers as well, linebacker.
I do know him.
Yes, that is an interesting book. He's like experimented with just all sorts of stuff to like pump his body up and that's a good read. I enjoyed that one.
Well, I think that's going to be the next one I look up then. And thanks for taking the time, Mark. That's got me a good start. And apologies if you heard my son. That's his debut on radio.
Oh, right, yeah. Why not? Start him off young.
He's busy playing in the background.
The scary thing is he's probably done a better job in those couple of minutes than I've done in 47 shows.
He's got natural talent. What can I say?
There you go.
Well, I'll let you get back to it, mate. But thanks for that. And if anybody else has any suggestions, give us a shout out.
Yeah, we'll get him to tweet him over to you at Dundee NFL.
Fantastic. Have a good show, mate.
Awesome. Appreciate the call, Martin. Take care, buddy. Excellent stuff. So, an unexpected subject there for mine. So, any books that you guys can recommend, do feel free to do so to send them in at Dundee NFL or tweet them at me to at Zone Coverage FS. I will make sure that Martin gets those. I'm just trying to have a look now. Oh, yes, there's another really good one called Slow Getting Up about Nate Jackson. That's a decent book as well. I've got a list of them. I've got about a few more coming. So most of mine are Jets based. So if you like misery, I specialise in misery. So do let me know. Right then, so phone lines are open as you've just witnessed. 07444 048 266 is the phone number. Also text in if you want to Skype in. It's Tease Mister on the Skype. To check in, where's Twitter? Twitter is still relatively quiet. So again, if you want to listen, if you're going to listen back in the form of a podcast, still send those books or anything you have over to Martin at Dundee NFL or to myself at Zone Coverage FS. Let's jump back in then to the AFC East. We started off with the Jets. We did the best of, and we've already run through the D-line. So the worst of, this one, it was a bit of a toss-up for me. I'm not convinced by the linebackers. Excuse me, there's no depth there, but I went with the running backers. Chris Ivory's been a hit and relatively injury-free since joining from the Saints. CJ2K's gone. Stephen Ridley, Zach Stacey, they've come over during the off-season. My concern is the Jets have basically got three running backs that have a very similar style. We lack that running back that can threaten a team in the passing game. Bilal Powell has been with the team. I'm sure might be his going into his fourth season now. I would assume he's going to be the third down back, but we need a change of pace in that backfield. So for me, the Jets' worst group, you could argue, I wouldn't disagree if you said the linebackers. I'm not overly convinced by the linebacking group. You can maybe throw in the O-line as well, but I just didn't think we got anything special beyond Chris Ivory in the backfield. If he goes down, it's going to be a struggle. It is going to be a struggle. Well, then, moving on to who everyone is proclaiming to be a playoff team this season. That is the Buffalo Bills. The best of. Again, I won't argue with you on this front. You could go the D-line, that unit is stacked, but they're moving. You've got to remember now, they are moving away from the 4-3. They're changing into a 3-4 this season. So those DNs are now linebackers. So I went with the linebackers. And what really swung it for me, obviously that change in system, but the performance of Preston Brown last year. How lucky have the Bills been? They had Kiko Alonso 2 years ago, then they drafted Preston Brown. Absolutely fantastic rookie season. He led the team in tackles, 109. Mario Williams, Jerry Hughes, they're now going to be outside linebackers. Rex is blitzing these guys. They're going to be just an absolute fabulous joy to watch. Alongside Preston Brown, then at inside linebacker is Nigel Braden. He was second in total tackles. So you've got your two inside linebackers there leading the way in tackles. That is just what you want. That is perfect setup. Those, like I say, Williams and Hughes coming off the edge. It's a formidable linebacking group there. Where do we have? Oh, well, I've lost. Totally lost where I was, yeah. Yeah, I said Nigel Braden, totally under the radar sort of guy. So fully expect Brown and Braden to be household names going forward. So you heard it here first. So that is, we all know Nigel, Preston Brown, or you should do, inside linebacker Nigel Braden for the Bills. They're going to be your household names. While Jerry Hughes and Mario Williams probably going to get all the highlights and all the mentions via the radio comms and the TV comms. Keep an eye out for those two. Oh, Cameron's joined the chat room. Good afternoon, Cameron. So we've got in there Terry, Martin, Noel, and Cameron. So afternoon, guys. I have now crossed you off the register, Cameron. You will not be getting a tweet asking where the hell you were for today's Zone Coverage Football Show. Moving on then. The Bills, the worst of... O-line. You know it's bad when you have to take a chance on Richie Incognito. Last year, this unit struggled in pass protection and opening up holes for the running game. Centre Eric Woods will be looking to bounce back from an absolutely horrendous season in 2014. Centre Henderson may get kicked inside after struggling at right tackle during his rookie year. Cody Glenn didn't fare any better at left tackle. As for depth, got Chris Williams. He was injured, so Richardson had a year to forget. And any injuries to this starting group of the O-line and the Bills' playoffs chances are pretty much done in my eyes, in fairness. Afternoon, Cameron. He says hi in the chat room. Right then, let's jump on. Let's check on Twitter, actually. I can see my Twitter flashing. Here we go. Let's just check in. We do have a tweet from... I have no idea. Yeah, it's Robert. Robert's tweeting about what's going on in training camp, so I appreciate that, Rob. Right, and back then, let's jump in with the Dolphins, the best of. Defensive line. Defensive line for this Dolphins team. Fantastic unit here. We have Olivier Vernon, Cameron Wake. They've combined for 38 sacks over the course of the last 2 seasons. The Dolphins have then gone and added Dominic and Sue. It's just absolutely frightening. Expect Earl Mitchell to get the nod alongside Sue at tackle. Mitchell was solid last year, so Sue, again, another name to keep an eye on is Earl Mitchell, Vernon and Wake. The worst unit, it's kind of odd how this is sort of worked out. You've got the D-line, and then just behind them, the linebackers. They're the worst unit on this Dolphins team in my eyes. Like I said, the line may be able to hold down the fort, but I don't hold out any hope of if you get through that line. Them linebackers are not cleaning up behind that. Absolutely woeful against the run down the stretch last year. Jelani Jenkins, he led the team in tackles, 110. KO missed as that. I can't even read my writing these days. I made the transition from defensive end last year, but he struggled. He looks like he's going to be set there at middle linebacker. So KO missed. Not good. He did really struggle last year. Chris McCain, he's there as well. There's no depth. There's no experience. They've got huge problems. They get any injuries linebacker-wise. The Dolphins, like the Bills' O-line, it's going to be a mess. While that front four is a formidable bunch, behind them, you're going to be able to run all over them if you can get some good blocking out of the way. If you can double team Sue, get through past what was the other guy name now? Earl Mitchell. You might be unlucky if you can get to the second level, get some second level blocks from your line. You could be away to the races. Let's move on to the Patriots. Best of. Got to go with the pass catches here, I'm afraid. Rob Gronkowski, the best tight end in the game at the moment. He's an absolute animal. And I put this is a Jets fan, putting it down in his notes. Rob Gronkowski is a joy to watch, except when mauling my Jets. For all that praise he gets his yards, touchdowns, but really take some time to watch Rob Gronkowski blocking. He's a tight end that just loves to block. Just discard all the spectacular catches and the touchdowns and all that. Watch him block. That is a joy to watch for me. Brandon LaFell, he had a career year last year with the team, so he's looking to kick on again. Julian Edelman, one of the toughest little guys I've ever seen. He runs great routes, and he seems to really enjoy the contact. I've never seen a guy who's loved just getting his rear end kicked on a Sunday for 3.5 hours, and Julian Edelman is that guy. He's a sort of player you want on your team, really. Danny Amendola, anyone remember him? Been hampered by injuries, but still a genuine threat. Well, third-year player Aaron Dobson get chance. Injuries have sort of plagued him so far throughout his course of his young career. And the addition of former Bills tight end Scott Chandler shouldn't go unnoticed either. I do believe that Scott Chandler absolutely mauled the Patriots. It's either last year or the year before. Now, as we all know, the genius that is Bill Belichick, he's probably seen that and be interested to see what happens in these two tight end sets that the Patriots run. Will Scott Chandler get a bit more of a look in? Gronk's going to command the attention. Scott Chandler could be a player to do some good damage this year, as could Aaron Dobson. Keep an eye on those two going forward, Aaron Dobson and Scott Chandler in 2015 for the Patriots. The worst are, again, pretty easy. Secondary. Any team that loses the two starting corners, we said this last week with the 49ers, they got the same issue. For me, that is a big no-no. I don't like that. Super Bowl hero Malcolm Butler and Logan Ryan have 17 starts between them. Bradley Fletcher, as we all witnessed, got torched by Des Bryant for 3 touchdowns last season when he was playing for the Eagles. I do believe that someone then went to change Bradley Fletcher's Wikipedia page, and I think under position or profession it was changed to Des Bryant's rhymes with which. That's all I will say. So that was a funny moment, and kudos to the person that changed that Wikipedia page. It's funny, but anyway, let's move on. So the corners are an issue. Safety-wise, I think they're pretty much set, aren't they, the Pats? Devin McCourtney and Patrick Chung again. It's just depth and quality, the corner position. It's going to be a real struggle for the Patriots there. So that is my worst of unit, best of and worst of. Anyone agreeing, disagreeing? Oh, Ant's in the chat room as well, former teammate from the Railroaders. Ant, afternoon, Ant. Hope you're well, buddy. Cameron comments on Edelman, pretty much says what I get. Yeah, that little guy in the middle just loves being smacked around for 3.5 hours a day, doesn't he? Check in then on Twitter. Twitter is still quiet. The phone lines are still open, folks. 0744048 If you want to Skype me, it is Teece Mister, T-E-E-C-E Mister. Right then, let's move on to the AFC North. We're going to go with the Ravens, the best group within the Ravens. I've gone with linebackers. I'll be honest, could have gone for the O-line. Flacco was only sacked 19 times last year. I'm a huge Marshall Yanda fan. But I went with the linebackers. Terrell Suggs, truly a fantastic player, now entering his 13th season, has 106.5 career sacks. He's had double-digit sacks in 6 seasons out of 13. For an old guy, Suggs still burst off that line. Opposite him, Courtney Upshaw, tremendous at setting the edge. If maybe being critical, Courtney Upshaw, he needs to work on his pass rush skills. Inside then of these two, C.J. Mosley, he made the Pro Bowl during his rookie season. He has great instincts, led all NFL rookies and tackles. He had 125. He was the only player also to be Rookie of the Month twice last year. Alongside Mosley, another outstanding vet and the anchor of the team, really, Darryl Smith. Stat for you, Smith is one of only 2 players in the last 2 seasons to have at least 250 tackles, 6 sacks, multiple interceptions, and forced fumbles. Can anyone name that other guy? I'll give you a couple of minutes for that one. So we've got, this is the stat. Was one of 2 players in the last 2 years, at least 250 tackles, 6 sacks, multiple interceptions, and forced fumbles. It's Darryl Smith of the Ravens. Who's the other? You'll never get there. You'll never get it. Where are we? Depth-wise, we've got Alvis Dumerville. Excellent pass rusher. Arthur Brown. He's yet to really show us his full potential, but what he's led to believe there. Excellent prospect going forward. And also Zach Ori, he stood out on special teams, so maybe Zach Ori is a name to keep an eye on for this linebacker group going forward. Worst of then, I went with the secondary. This pass defense, it was ranked 23rd last year. Jimmy Smith suffered a list rank injury, is expected to be back this year. Ladarius Webb also struggled with injury, had a rough season. Safeties, they were just brutal, especially 2013 first-round pick Matt Elam. Kendrick Lewis has come over from the Texans. He will play alongside Will Hill. I'm just not a fan of Will Hill. Nothing personal. Well, just don't think you're all that good. He didn't fare too well. What's his name now? Matt Elam. He didn't fare too well. The Giants had some bright moments. Bit of a troubled player. If you can maybe put that behind him, I might rethink it, but I just can't see this. I'm not convinced by this unit at all for the Ravens. So check in again on the Spreaker chat room if you want to join Spreaker chat room, Spreaker.com. Sign up there, Facebook, Twitter, and then just search Zone Coverage Football Show. Come and have a bit of banter with the guys in there. Martin's on about the Fourth Down and Out podcast, going to be out Wednesday, so he's working hard on that again at Dundee NFL on Twitter. Check those guys out. Right then, let's move on to the Bengals. Best of. This was a tricky one for me for the Bengals. It's a loaded roster, is the Bengals roster. I'm going to go with the running backs. And you might say, what, running backs? That's crazy. And before you mention the running backs, Mark, how about that stat that you give us and we'll guess the person. The other person, before I do move on, who had at least 250 tackles, 6 sacks, and multiple interceptions and forced fumbles, whereas the Buccaneers' Levante David. So no one got it, and even if you did, I didn't give you enough time, so hey-oh. Anyway, let's go back to these Bengals running backs. Yes, I'm going with the Bengals running backs, despite the roster being absolutely loaded. One of the few reasons being Gio Bernard. Remember that touchdown? Was it last year or the year before against the Dolphins, where he just bobbed and weaved practically the length of the field. It was just absolutely ridiculous. He just embarrassed the Dolphins' defence, and as a Jets fan, something I'm always for. And something else I'm always for, the ultimate compliment to a player. He is the ultimate compliment to Hill. He really is. The 1-2 punch of him and Hill is just an absolute frightening. Hill last year, rookie year, what did he have? 1,375 yards, 860 odd yards. It's just a joy to watch. It is frightening. The Bengals running backs are just phenomenal. Where have we got now? Hill is just tough, physical, explosive, powerful. He's averaged 5.1 yards per carry. Every time he's carried the ball 20 times or more, he's rushed for over 100 yards. 100 yards. So every time Hill gets the ball running for the Bengals, 20 carries or more, 100 yards. That happened 5 times, in fact. Happened 5 times. He went and during those 5 times he's gone over 100 yards, he went over 140 yards rushing 4 times. That is scary. Let me just take a moment there. So the 5 times he's gone over 100 yards, 4 of them have been over 140 yards. That is damn impressive. I'm putting this out there to you guys. What do you guys reckon on this? Hill and Bernard are the best running back duo in the NFL, as in how they complement each other. One's the banger, one's the third down receiving threat out of the backfield. For me, Hill and Bernard, best running back duo in the NFL. If I'm wrong, right, agree, disagree, hit me up. Twitter, @ZoneCoverageFS, text 07444048266, or in the chat rooms, let me know, best running back duo in the league, and I will not accept any Cowboys nominations. You will be kicked out of the room forever. Right then, let's move on. The worst of the linebacking group for this Bengals team. They're going to miss Vontaze Burfict again. I think he's now on the PUP list. Again, which level of the PUP list is on, I have no idea, because that is one of the most confusing. The PUP list and the different segments of that is almost as confusing as the Dez Bryant, Calvin Johnson ruling, catch, no catch, making a football move nonsense to me. So anyway, I've gone with the linebackers for the Bengals. As I said, Vontaze Burfict, he's out. What did he have now? He had surgery on his knee surgery, yeah. Also needs to stop tackling people with his head. I think he did that a couple of times last year, ended up with concussion. Do not tackle with your head, Burfict. You can get a concussion, which you did. It's ridiculous. Ray Malaga, he's been decent against the run, bit suspect in coverage. Emmanuel Lamar and former Packer AJ Green, they're going to battle it out then for the outside linebacker slot. Linebacker? I can't speak today. Linebacker slot. Jesus Christ. Vincent Ray, he's one to keep an eye on depth-wise. He stepped up in Burfict's absence last year. And also rookie Paul Dawson, he was a third-round pick. He could also feature quite heavily. So while the unit's not that great, keep an eye out for Paul Dawson and Vincent Ray. Few injuries there. They might become the next big household names linebacking-wise. For the Bengals, Ant's come in here. He says Lacey and Starks at Green Bay. No biased opinion in there. You've got a good point with Lacey. Starks, I think Gio Bernard's probably just Pip Starks, but 1A, 1B, 1A, 1B. That's a good call. Good call, Ant. I like that. That's a good call. Right then. Do anyone else agree, disagree, running back wise? Who did I say now? Hill and Bernard, are they the best two? Ant's put up a good fight there with Lacey and Starks. Le'Veon Bell, D'Angelo Williams. Martin says, Le'Veon Bell. It'd be hard pushed with me to say anyone's better than Bell, to be fair. D'Angelo Williams. Yes, he has had some stunning games. But with D'Angelo Williams, he always has like a 50-yard spectacular run. I want to see him grind out some tough yards more. Keep those legs churning. Get me an extra half a yard, an extra yard. I'm good with that. Right then, let's move on to the Browns. The Browns actually have a best of unit. Yeah, we'll just take a pause for the moment. That was actually said out live on radio. The Browns have a best of unit. That's mainly a shot at Simon, really, from the Dundee NFL gang. I don't know if Simon's listening or not. I'm sure he'll get back to me anyway. But the Browns, yes, they do have a best-of unit. I was very, very tempted to go with the secondary. We all know the names there in the secondary. We've got Joe Hayden, Dante Whitney, Justin Gilbert. Bit of a rough rookie season, but it's tough for a rookie corner to step in the league and shine. In my eyes, give him a year or two and see what happens. But as you all know, we do the Love Line feature here. I like the big guys on the line, so I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns O-line. It's fantastic. Let's familiarise you with some of these big names. First up, centre Alex Mack, one of the best in the games by far. And left tackle, Joe Thomas, going into his 9th season now. Interesting fact about Joe Thomas, he's never ever missed an NFL snap. That is a tackle that has never missed an NFL snap in 9 years. That was a bizarre stat. I was quite shocked that when I read that one. We got Joel Bertoni. He's at left guard. He had an excellent rookie season, totally overlooked because he plays for the Browns. Mitchell Schwartz at right tackle. Reports suggest that he may kick inside to make way for rookie Cam Irving. Cam Irving can actually play anywhere along this line for the Browns. So the Browns are set line-wise for quite a few years. Depth-wise, they've got Ryan Seymour. He did okay at centre when Mack went down last year. Although the loss of Mack, that's how good a player Alex Mack is. Mack went down. The Browns lost every game in his absence, so he is a vital member of that team going forward. Where are we? Worst of pass catches for the Browns. Brian Hartline, Dwayne Bowe. They come over and look to bolster a unit that recorded just 12 touchdowns last year. Jordan Cameron, he's now gone to Miami. Rob Huesler, tight end, looks set to battle it out with Gary Barnage for the starting gig. Out the slot, we've got Andrew Hawkins. He offers the Browns something following a career year. He had 824 yards. Taylor Gabriel, he will be looking to build off his 621 yards as a rookie. In summary, basically, the vets offer very little. And the rookies, I actually wrote this down, the rookies are doomed in part to the quarterback carousel that seems to happen in Cleveland every single year. So yeah, the Browns, the line-wise for the Browns, they've probably got one of the best O-lines in the division, in the league. And that is a bold statement. That line is very, very good. But they also have some of the worst pass catches in the league as well. Let's jump back in then to the chat room. Bit of chat going on with people talking about fantasy. I know Noel's pushing all the fantasy stuff in there. So again, the Fan Pub forum, that's an excellent forum to go in there. I actually joined that last week or the week before. I've not been in of late, but you'll find Noel in there doing all fantasy stuff. There's a lot of leagues and stuff. We had him on. There's videos of him on YouTube, drunk and all sorts. So I do recommend you guys go and check that out. A bit of banter going on towards Martin's 49ers backfield there. So yeah, Carlos Hyde there. Yeah, we've got Reggie Bush as well, aren't they, now in the 49ers? So we'll be interested to see what happened there. Right then, let's move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, hang on, I can see my phone flashing. My phone is flashing. It's nothing important. Let's get back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Best of. Easy one. No-brainer. Pass catches. Antonio Brown, 129 yards receiving, 1,698 yards. Yeah, what did I say? 129 receptions, 1,698 yards receiving, 13 touchdowns. Marcus Wheaton, he had an excellent sophomore year, 644 yards. We would imagine he'll start with Martavius Bryant. Expect the Steelers to, Martavius Bryant and Marcus Wheaton. Expect them to be flip-flopped. I really can see them to either in the slot, outside. Going to give the defensive absolute fits. You can even play, I tell you what, I've got one for you. Let's say Pittsburgh Steelers lined up Marcus Wheaton, Martavius Bryant on the outside. Let's run Antonio Brown out of slot. You mix that up all the way. You can put then Brown on the outside, Martavius Bryant on the inside. It's scary. Throw in Heath Miller as well. Heath Miller, one of these, he's an excellent vet tight end. He's lost a step, still a great player. He's going now into his 11th year, 43 touchdowns. He's got 317 first downs, so all else fails. Them lot clear out. Throw it underneath. Heath Miller, first down, keeps chains moving. Pittsburgh Steelers offense. What did Roethlisberger say the other day? This team can score 30 points a game? Yeah, Quite possibly. How many is it going to give up? That's the big question. Going to win 31, 28 every week? Be interesting, be exciting for neutral. Not if you are actually a Steelers fan, which is the perfect segue to if you're giving up 28 points a week, your secondary is going to end up on Mark TC's worst of list, which it has. Gone is the legend, the hair, Troy Polamalu at safety. Talking of safety, a big concern, Mike Mitchell. He appears to regress every single year. Shamarko Thomas, third-year player, remains an unknown quantity in my eyes. Sort of billing him up ahead of this season again. That's a lot of pressure to replace Troy Polamalu there. He's going to be battling out actually with veteran Will Allen to start alongside Mitchell. Cornerback-wise, Cortez Allen, he had a miserable 2014 season. I do believe he was benched not once but twice. William Gay will play opposite Cortez. Gay's probably more comfortable as nickel cornerback, could make room if he does start nickel corner for Antoine Blake to start. Pass defense was ranked 28th overall last year, so this, as good as the offense is and as good as it's going to have to be, this secondary is a major concern for this Pittsburgh outfit going forward. Right, just going to see what was going on in here. I can see my name. I heard a rumour about the Packers are coming to Wembley next year. Is this true? There is a rumour, and I did ask David Tussell that exact rumour in the show a couple of weeks ago. He dodged that question like a true politician. I've since heard that the Packers aren't. I think someone's been out there and sort of done, you can foresee the schedule and predict who's going to be on each other's sort of schedule going forward, because the divisions flip-flop who you're playing each year. Nothing confirmed, nothing concrete at all, but I have heard that same rumour, Jags and Packers, so there's nothing on there. There's a lot of chatter about it, but I've got nothing concrete. If I do hear anything, mate, I will be sure to let you know. Right then, text again if you want to text in 07444 048 266. Skype T Smith there. What have we got now? Let's move on to the AFC South. We will start off with the Texans, the best of. I went for the D-line. J.J. Watt, who we all championed for on this show last year to be league MVP. We were sorely let down. But for me and the listeners, we all know that J.J. Watt was our MVP. 41.5 sacks in the last 3 seasons. 3 receiving touchdowns last year. J.J. Watt targeted 3 times, caught 3 balls, 3 touchdowns. That's damn impressive. Vince Wilfork, he's now joined the team. Excellent run stuffer. He's going to plug those A-gaps. Tough physical presence. A name we hear very, very little of for this D-line is Jared Crick. 2014, last year, was by far his best year with the team. He was a 4th-round pick back in 2012. One criticism you could have about the unit outside of Watt and Crick and now Wilfork, maybe lack of depth and experience. Jeffrey Pagan, he's a second-year player. Christian Covington, he was then drafted this year. So there's a bit of depth there, just lacks a bit of experience, but by far the best unit on this team for me. The worst of, this was tough. The O-line, that's been reshuffled at centre. Chris Myers no longer with the team. Safeties don't convince me, but I really like Jonathan Joseph and Kareem Jackson at corner. So I decided to go linebackers. Brian Cushing, for me, how good was Brian Cushing about 4 years ago? Brian Cushing was one of my favourite linebackers to watch, but injuries have caught up with him now, and Cushing is not the player he once was. He is declining, which I hate seeing really good players decline. It's heartbreaking to see. Whitney Merciless, he signed a new contract this offseason. Many Texans fans have questioned that. They do not see what the front office see in Whitney Merciless. So he did get signed again. I think I mentioned this the other week where they signed him on potential that they saw, but fans are looking and going, whoa, we're not seeing what you're seeing. We're not overly happy with that. Could be a bargain, could end up to be an expensive mistake. We'll keep an eye on that one going forward. Benedict McKinney, he's entering his second campaign. He'll be locked in a battle with Mike Mohammed for the starting gig. Clowney's on the PUP list still. Microfracture surgery, going to be interesting to see how he bounces back from that. John Simon, Justin Tuggle, divide depth, but they're seen as more as contributors special team wise. So like I say, we've got Clowney. There is talent on this line. It's depth, which is a bit of an issue, and like I say, it's just declining play. Brian Cushing come back and was outstanding. If Whitney Merciless lived up to this contract he's been given, And if Clowney comes back at, say, 80% of the player he was projected to be coming into last year's draft, then maybe I'll eat humble pie on that worst of unit there. I wouldn't argue if you said, whoa, what were you smoking when you did that show? I could back down from that. Right then, check back in on the chat room. Plenty going on still. The guys are in there. Again, with the chat room, if you keep hearing me refer to it, and you're like, what are you on about chat room? I can't see it. When the show's done, and I go on to the website, zonecoveragefootballshow.com, you'll see the thing where, what's that thing called? The player, the audio player. And you'll see like a little speech bubble, and that'll be rocking back and forth. If you click on that, it'll bump you to the actual Spreaker website where all the comments are. So you can comment after the show's done, which a few people have been doing. Read back what's been going on, so you can interact with the guys there. So that's always a good way of catching up, and then you don't think I'm mental. 47 episodes in, that ship's long sailed, I would imagine. Right then, let's get back to the show. Colts best of running pass catches, I should say. Easy, very easy. T.Y. Hilton, he has posted 16 games where he's gone over 100 yards receiving. This has happened in his first 3 years within the NFL. Veteran Andre Johnson, he's now come over 64 career touchdown and entering his 13th season. We have last year's rookie, Dante Moncrief, flashed. Now they've got another rookie, Philip Dorsett, 2 fantastic tight ends in the form of Dwayne Allen, Kobe Fleener. They both contributed 8 touchdowns apiece last year. 16 touchdowns from your tight ends. I don't think the Jets' all receiver group had that. It's ridiculous. So that is the best of for the Colts. The worst of, this was tough. Linebacker and secondary, got question marks here, but I went with the O-line. And I know that the Colts have strengthened the O-line, and I know you might think I'm mad on this. I'm willing to hear arguments. I really don't mind. But it's going to be a battle at camp for the centre gig between Khalil Holmes and Jonathan Harrison. Right tackle, Gostachurlis, he needs to stay healthy. He's actually gone. Chevrolet, he's gone, Auntie, yes. Chevrolet is even gone. Didn't check my notes. He's gone. Todd Herrimans, that's what I mean. Chevrolet is gone. Todd Herrimans has come over. He's picked up in free agency. Jack Muhort, he showed promise in his rookie year, but can he show that promise? And he's going to be plugged in all along that line. The line is a mess. We've got Joe Reitz and Lance Louvs. They provide some depth and versatility. But again, like I've said with a couple of the units, they might have a couple of good household names where you think, you know what, that was a good free agency signing. But he goes down. Who's this guy they're plugging in? Who is he? There's quite a lot of unknown quantities along this Colts line. We'll move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their best unit for me, pass catchers. Julius Thomas, a much sought after free agent, joins out from the Broncos. Marquise Lee, Alan Hearns, they're going to be battling out for the number 2 wide receiver slot, one would imagine. The pair combined for 1,099 yards last year, 7 touchdowns. Allen Robinson is probably going to be your number 1 receiver. He only managed 10 games during his rookie season. There's a lot of hype surrounding him going into his sophomore year. Rookie Rashard Greens, he looks set for the 4th wide receiver spot. And veteran tight Mercedes Lewis, he actually took a pay cut to stay with this team. So Mercedes Lewis is sort of like, it's about time this team sort of got over that 500 mark, haven't we? We've heard a lot of promise about the Jags. They're building for the future. We're now 4 years into that plan, or going into the 4th year. So be interested to see if the Jags can finally get over that hump. Again, we move on to the worst of, and this was easy. The linebacking group for this Jaguars team is, it's the word. It's not very good. That's all I'm going to say. Very limited depth, experience. Paul Postlosny, he also took a pay cut to stay with the team. He's been one of the more consistent players for the Jags over the years. A fantastic testament as well to that team, and he stuck around for a while. I'm sure he could have got snapped up. One hell of a player. Dan Sutka, he's come over. Is that there? Dan Sutka, he's come over from the 49ers. He had 5 sacks last year. Talvin Smith, he's also going to continue as a starter. He had 10 starts during his rookie season last year. Depth-wise, we have Leroy Reynolds, 3 career starts. Jeremiah George, he was signed off the Jets practice squad. So the linebacker they've got no depth, absolutely zero depth for these Jaguars. Jeremiah George signed up Jets practice squad, and Leroy Reynolds has 3 career starts. Poslasny, getting older, struggled with injury last year. He goes down. This unit is doomed. Right then, let's move on to the Tennessee Titans. Best of. Oh, me notes. If you're a Titans fan, you might want to stick your fingers in your ears. Me notes say this roster's so bad. You could argue that the pass catches, Harry Douglas, Delaney Walker, Kendall Wright, Darrell Green Beckham. But, am I mad? I actually went with the secondary. I must have written this the other day. Yeah, going with the secondary, they've added quality via the free agency. Parrish Cox, he comes over from the 49ers. He had 5 picks last year. Denari Cersei, excellent with the Bills. Yes, that was the main reason now. I've got a thing for safeties. It's scary. Denari Cersei, Bills. He was brilliant last year. I'm surprised the Bills couldn't keep hold of him. So he's come over. So that's Parrish Cox. Denari Cersei come over. Huge upgrade there. Jason McCourney, he fared well last year. Cornerback-wise, he saw most of the opposition's number ones. Damian Stafford, he's a name to watch at safety if any injuries happen. And also we've got Marquiston Huff. He's down as a safety, but he may play the nickel corner. So, again, if you come at me and said, the Titans pass catches are way better than the secondary, I really wouldn't argue. I just really like Denari Cersei. That's probably why I put the secondary as their best of. It was brutal. It could have just gone worst of the entire team, but that would have been a bit harsh on Titans fans. Talking of worst off, running backs. This one, can you name a worse? Does that make sense now? A crappier? Yeah. Is there any team a worse running back duo than the Tennessee Titans? Bishop Sankey, he struggled during his rookie campaign. 3.7 yards, a couple of fumbles. Listen to this for a start for Bishop Sankey. 18 carries, 61 yards. 16 carries, 56 yards. 16 carries, 55 yards. 14 carries, 44 yards. That is not what you want from your lead back. And David Carby, he was drafted in the 5th round. Dexter McCluster, the less said the better. Antonio Andrews, he was on the practice squad. I think Sean Green's still there, the good old Jets plodder from yesteryear. This backfield is absolutely woeful for the Titans, so good luck with that going forward. Let's move on to... I'm on the last division already. That's gone damn quick today. Move on then to the Denver Broncos and the best of. I really, really, really considered I nearly broke into that song there. Really, really, really like you, but that would have been odd. But I did it anyway. God. Really considered the pass catches, but outside of Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, with Julius Thomas going as well, wasn't really a great deal of depth and all that. So I went with the linebackers. Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. Miller's had 11 plus sacks in 3 out of the last 4 years. Likewise, he's of that other year. No, likewise with what's his name? Oh, I'm getting mad. Miller. No, DeMarcus Ware. He's had oh Christ, this has gone downhill massively. Yeah, Ware he's had under 8 sacks. 8 sacks or less. That's what I'm trying to get out. DeMarcus Ware's had 8 sacks or less once in the last 10 years, and Von Miller has had 11 plus sacks in 3 of the last 4 years. Man, that song really threw me off. Danny Trevathan, who I had as a player under pressure due to injuries and stuff, and his fellow inside linebacker, Brandon Marshall, they've led the team in tackles over the last couple of years. Add to the fold now, we have Shane Ray, Laurenti McKay, Corey Nelson. They provide some relatively decent depth and fairness for this team. So I really like the linebacking group for the Denver Broncos. The worst of, again, O-line really concerns me. Left tackle Ryan Clady, he's out for the year. It's just not good. The team is also moving to a 3-4, which doesn't set the heart racing. Terrence Potroast, he's gone as well. He's joined the Redskins in free agency. Sylvester Williams, Marvin Ostim Jr., they're going to battle out for the starting nose tackle job. Williams has only started 13 games at defensive tackle, never even played nose tackle. So nose tackle for the Broncos is a massive, massive issue going into 2015. Austin, he's played in 26 games, no starts. So none of these guys have started at nose tackle. So that's going to be... It's going to be awful. It's going to be brutal. Good job them linebackers are that good, so they're going to have to do a lot of mopping up this year. At ends, we have Malik Johnson and Derek Wolfe, both played end and tackle last year, so they're going to offer some presence in the form of pass rush. Vance Walker offers a bit of depth and versatility along the line, while rookie Darius Klingo may be eyeing up the nose tackling gig if either Austin or Williams struggle. So it's going to be an interesting preseason, in fairness. So if you're watching the Broncos this year and you're thinking, oh, what's the worst unit? Keep an eye on that nose tackle job. You're looking for Sylvester Williams and Marvin Austin Jr. Any of those fail, keep an eye then on rookie Darius Kilgo. So that could be an interesting to... We all know preseason's not the best sort of... We all crave football. It comes along, it's like, oh God, this is painful. But keep an eye out on that. Moving on then to the Chiefs. John actually messaged me and it was scary. It was like John had peered into my notes. He put down his best of and worst of groups trying to preempt me. He got it bang on. Again, my notes say it was a tough one for me. They've got... The Chiefs have sprinkled with this sort of like superstar here, there, and then it's like, ugh. Okay, which is kind of weird. But there's a few teams like that, and you kind of scratch your head and think, well, all right. But anyway, that is a tough one. They're going to go with the... Yeah, I could have gone with the linebacking group, Tampa Harley, Justin Houston. Obviously, got to give those guys a mention. They are fantastic. But the best of, I went with the running backs. Jamal Charles, he gets no love, and he is so underappreciated outside of Chiefs fans. 5 of the last 7 seasons, he's gone over 1,000 yards. And one of those seasons, he missed 14 games due to injury. The other one was his rookie year. He averages 5.5 yards a carry, 8.6 yards of reception, lines up in the slot. He's an absolute nightmare to key on. Now, Davis, he's another great compliment. 7 touchdowns last year. And some fullback love. We're going all out fullback love. Yeah, everyone loves some fullback talk, don't they? How about a really, really underappreciated player is Anthony Sherman, the fullback. Why do you think Jamal Charles is so good? Because he's got one of the best fullbacks in the league in the form of Anthony Sherman. He leads the way for Charles, totally selfless player. Every team needs a guy like Anthony Sherman. DeAnthony Thomas, there's a lot of talk that he's going to be moved to receiver now. Saw him he was brutal for the Ducks, the Oregon Ducks. I've never seen a guy run so fast in all my life as DeAnthony Thomas. So will they shift him, take some direct snaps running back? You never know. That'll be interesting. Will he play out wide? So keep an eye out for that one. Yeah, that is the best of. So I really like this group running backs for the Chiefs. The worst of, odd thing about this team, it's really odd when you consider this. The best of group is the running backs, but the worst of group in my eyes was the O-line, which usually don't go hand in hand. If the O-line's poor, it affects the running game and so on and so on. But the Chiefs somehow bizarrely worked that out. Maybe that's because of the underappreciated guy we mentioned, Anthony Sherman, one of the best fullbacks. So right then, Eric Fisher, left tackle, needs to show us something, just anything to remind us that he was actually taken first overall back in 2013. The right side of the line, that's up in the air. Jeff Allen returns from injury. Locked in a battle with Zach Fullen and Paul Faneca at centre. Eric Kush. He was a 6th round pick in 2013. And this year's 2nd round pick, Mitch Moore, they're going to battle it out at camp for the starting gig there. We've got Ben Grubbs, former Saints, starting at left guard. Grubbs is actually a decent player. He's probably one of the better players, well, probably the best player on that line, in fairness. Finally, Donald Stevenson and Jeff Allen, they're going to fight it out for the right tackle job. I just feel here, any injuries in this team, it's done. It is done. And talking of... an injury that could affect a line, the D-line with the absence of Dontari Poe, do not underestimate how impactful that will be on this Chiefs team. So I know I've listed the D-line as the worst of. If Poe is out for a length of time, that D-line is really, really going to suffer. Right then, I'm going to check in on the chat room here. There's some good stuff going on. Yeah. we'll catch up on that later. So again, if you want to enjoy the chat room, Spreaker.com is the place to be. So Zone Coverage Football Show. Got about 5-6 minutes left now before I wrap the show up. So if you want to phone in quick, be quick. 0744048 I'll entertain a call. I've got the Raiders to best and worst of before I do a bit more advertising and tell you guys about the shows coming up. So yeah, 0744048 T Smith on the Skype. Jump into the Raiders, the best of. Again, this, like I said earlier, this team is sort of sprinkled with the odd star, and then it's just guys, and I hate that phrase, just guys. But I finally settled on the linebackers. Khalil Mack, very, very impressed by him last year. The stat hunters amongst you will say, Khalil Mack, he had 4 sacks. But like I said with the Gronk, go back and watch Gronk. It's not all about his pass-catching ability. Go watch Gronk block. It's a joy to watch. That's a Jets fan. With Khalil Mack, you'll see 4 sacks. Go and watch his tape. He was constantly applying pressure to the quarterbacks all year round. He's got a great motor. Curtis Lofton, 8-year veteran. Former Falcon and Saint, he'll clean up from the middle linebacker position. He's a tackling machine. Like Lofton, CL Moore, he's a good playmaker. He's in his 3rd year coming off hip surgery. So he's my player to watch in this linebacking group this year. CL Moore for the Raiders. I believe that he'll become more relevant in your mind going forward. Very, very good player. Depth-wise, we've got former Seahawk here, Malcolm Smith. He can play all 3 linebacking spots, so you've got a good bit of rotation and depth there. And we have Neron Ball and what's his name now? Ben Heaney, yes, a couple of rookies as well. So Raiders they've got a good mix, youth, experience and talent. So that Raiders linebacking group is very, very good. The worst of, unfortunately, though, just behind them is this secondary. So beyond the future Hall of Famer Charles Woodston, I'm just struggling. Cornerback DJ Hayden got owned by Manning not once but twice last year. Opposite him, 2nd-year player TJ Carey. He needs to blossom. Made 4 starts last year. If not, then it's Keith McGill. He showed some promise towards the back end of the season. But the big head scratcher after some of what the worst coverage I've seen on display last year was the addition of former Eagle Nate Allen. As much as I've given safeties a lot of love on this segment, Nate Allen, was don't swear. It was brutal. So it was brutal. Right then. So that is your best of, worst of Raiders and. I've got Chargers. Turnover. The Chargers. I nearly forgot the Chargers. Chargers fans would have been screaming at me. The last team then is the San Diego Chargers. The best of. I went with pass catchers. Future Hall of Fame candidate Antonio Gates, again another great tight end to watch. He's been a joy to watch over the years. I know he's lost a step, but he's just a savvy old vet now. Ladarius Webb, many's penciled them out for a breakout year. Last year didn't quite happen, but he's going to now get the chance now that Gates is suspended for 4 games. Keenan Allen, he was a little up and down last year after bursting onto the scene in his rookie year. During a 6-game stretch, October to December, he was fantastic. He just started and ended the year quite disappointing, if I'm honest. Hoping he'll have a big year 2015. Malcolm Floyd, he's going to be able to stretch the field. He had a career year. Well, he actually equalled his career receiving-wise, 856 yards. He did that in 2010, but he did have 1 more touchdown last year. Stevie Johnson and Jacoby Jones had interesting depth, and I've seen a lot of reports saying that Stevie Johnson could be a player to keep an eye on this year, but a really, really, really deep keep an eye on player, 2nd-year player, Dontrell Inman. Last year, towards the end of the season, he caught 7 of 9 balls for 79 yards against the 49ers. The week after, he caught 5 of 8 passes for 79 yards. And the week after that, I haven't written it down. He had a cracking game against the Chiefs. Dontrell Inman. So for the Chargers, 2nd-year wide receiver, keep an eye out on him going forward. The worst of, Could have and should have gone with the O-line, but I go linebacker, as it's more about living up to potential in 2015 than lack of talent. Spoke to a lot of Chargers fans. A lot of people are high on Manti Te'o this year. Dwight Freeney's gone. Jarrett Johnson retired. Melvin Ingram, great player, down year last year. Same with Donald Butler, another decent player, awful year. So they're two guys that need to step up, as does Jeremiah Atuhu. They added Denzel Perriman and Kyle Emmanuel in the draft. So just lack some pass rush through the Chargers. So again, it's not like inadequate. The talent's not inadequate. It just had a down year, lacked any pass rush. So that's more of an intrigue that I put them down as the worst group in my eyes. And that is finally it. I'm just going to turn over my page. Yeah, I am done and dusted. That is it. That is your best and worst of NFC. Oh, that was brutal. That was brutal today. I couldn't speak. So, right then, I'm just going to check it on the chat room once again. Cameron here says, breaking news, Seattle have released starting defensive tackle Tony McDaniel today. Salary cap reasons after Russell Wilson and Wagner's extension. Would be a good pickup for someone. He says, great run stuff with a bit of wiggle. Oh, wriggle. I thought I said wiggle. Oh, dear. It's been one of them shows, guys. I've rolled for nearly an hour and a half today. Next week, we do have football back. There's the Hall of Fame game, Vikings Steelers, so we do have some football to look into. Gonna go, what I've done with all the teams, I'm going to do with the Hall of Famers. So I'm going to give you a bit of information on each person being inducted to the Hall of Fame during next week's show. And then we're only about 3 weeks out before the actual season starts, so we'll start looking at the sort of camp battles and a few of those names that I've mentioned as well, see how they're progressing. Try and keep you updated on what's going on with injuries and lists and all sorts. And that's pretty much it, really. If anyone wants to ring into the show, number to take down for next week is 07444048266. Again, echoing what Martin was saying in regards to books, any good NFL books, maybe biographies, X's and O's, just about the league in general, college, do feel free to tweet me at Zone Coverage FS or Martin himself at Dundee NFL. Again, keep those the retweets when the show goes out, Stitcher, iTunes ratings, very, very much appreciated. The show, the hub really, is zonecoveragefootballshow.com if you want to find some more information about me and so on and so on. Listen to all the past episodes. We actually have a what's it called now? A banner, Amazon banner. If you want to support the show, you can click on the Amazon banner. That'll take you to Amazon. Bookmark that. Whenever you buy something from Amazon, we get a little bit of something that pays for a little bit of all this. So if you are so inclined to do that, you have an Amazon account, click on the banner ad on the homepage, and that'd be absolutely awesome. So that's cool going forward. So that's it, really. Again, thanks to everyone that's been in the chat room today. A little quieter. We are battling football now, but we are only a few weeks away from pigskin. Everyone that's tuned in today, very, very much appreciated. Those that have been absent in the chat room, I've made a mental note. You will be getting a suspension of some form, Roger Goodell style, but unlike Brady, if you appeal, I won't uphold it. Shots fired. Anyway, right, I'm going. A tea's in the oven. Oh, Twitter's flashing. Again, it's not Twitter, so don't mind. Anyway, that is it. Done and dusted. Really enjoyed today's show. We're back next Sunday, 3:30 to 5:30. Oh, no, wait. Don't go yet. Voicemail. Last thing on my notes. I've been screaming every single week, every week. If you've got a voicemail, go to the website, leave a voicemail. If you've got a rant, you can. So this is a voicemail we had earlier.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hello Mark, it's Martin from Dundee NFL, the Fourth Down and Out podcast. Just wanted to drop a line to let you know that we have started the season. Brand new podcast is going to be up by the time your show's up and running on the Sunday, and we're looking forward to taking part in the fantasy football advice coming up this season. Unless, of course, you replace us with somebody much smarter and more intelligent and who spends much more time talking about valid fantasy football advice and not tell your listeners to just play all their giants. Don't think I haven't been listening on the off-season. I'm keeping my ear on you, Mr. Teese.
So that was a message from Martin from Dundee NFL there. So appreciate that, Martin. If you want to go and leave us a voicemail, zonecoveragefootballshow.com, click on the tab. If you've got a rant, if you're keeping an eye on me and want to let me know like Martin did, feel free. That is it. Done and dusted from Tees Towers. Massive thank you to everyone once again for joining me in the chat room, tweeting in, listening back, and just generally enjoying the show. It's been a pleasure, my end. And remember, until next Sunday, hustle, hit, and never quit.